Oops, do the right one. We'll start that over again.
Ahoo, my friends and relatives. This is Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Our people, our recovery. And this is our first show ever. And I just want to introduce the hosts, Hunter Thundercloud and Aero Funmaker. Welcome to your show.
Welcome. Thank you for having us on. This is a historical event for us. You know, it's really exciting to be here.
Yeah, thank you for having us, giving us this opportunity to share our vision and dream.
And that's what's really important too. We here love to support what's happening in the community, and we know there's a lot happening in our community, but we're going to be talking about a lot of ways to really help our people, and that's what's really important. So thank you guys so much for doing this, because this is important knowledge that we need to talk about. So I guess we want to introduce who we are and who you are and why we have this radio show.
Well, I'm Hunter Thundercloud from the Ho-Chunk Nation, the Thunder Clan. We're founders of Thundermaker Wellness Center. We started this project over 5 years ago with a nonprofit, and we've slowly gotten it to be open. We started really funding this project, I want to say 11 months ago, and our doors are open. We've been open for about 3 weeks, so we're Ho-Chunk people. We're humans.
Yeah, my name is Aero Funmaker. I'm a Ho-Chunk as well from Black River Falls, Wisconsin. We've been trying to make some change within behavioral health for our people for some years now, and finally we're in this place of where we're able to contribute to this change that we're trying to promote here within Indian country. Like my brother Hunter was saying, we've been working on this project for the past 5 years, and both he and I have a lot of experience within addiction and mental and behavioral health, and we've definitely seen and we acknowledge that there's a lack of representation for our people within mental and behavioral health, and that's part of our dream and vision is to bring more awareness to who we are as indigenous people, and be able to contribute cultural and ceremonial practices into behavioral health services for our people, because we know our culture works, we know our ceremonies and our language and our foods, a traditional way of living, as much as we can in today's world. We know that that's beneficial to us as human beings, as indigenous people, and we just want to be able to contribute to this foundation of change, for Indian country. So
There sounds like there's a lot of things. As you know, I'm in recovery right now and have been since 1984, drugs and alcohol free. You all have your stories too, and we see both sides of addiction and recovery. It's very important what you're doing. Let's talk about maybe a little bit about who you are and what got you up to this to do this, because there's an old saying, you have to give it away to keep it, and it's really that's what you guys are doing here, because you see a need.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my addiction started real young. I probably in my early teens, I started drinking heavily, and it continued until about 25. I had 3 DUIs by then, and I was in and out of jail. My early 20s was really rough. I had a lot of suicidal ideations. I was in a dark place. After my 3rd DUI, I went to jail for 9 months, and I got out on a work release, and I went to school for cabinet making. And when I was in school, I was like, I can't drink anymore. And I was introduced to opiates, and I got into heroin for about 6 years. I'd been to rehab a few times and tried to do AA, and it never really stuck. It was always short periods of time, because they were always clinical models. So insurance only allowed us to go for a certain amount of time. But I went to Prescott, Arizona for a 3-month program. my tribe, the Ho-Chunk Nation, helped pay for it, which I'm grateful for. It really was that seed that helped me grow into the person I've become. But it took me really a year and a half being away from Wisconsin and Prescott to get what it meant to try to be sober. I'm coming up on 7 years on September 25th, so I'm almost there. So I mean, we saw a need. My story is I'm Native, and we live in a white world, and a lot of recovery centers don't focus on cultural services, or maybe they don't value them. And we are creating something different through a Native lens. We're owned and operated by Native people. I mean, it's designed for us to grow in the way we choose. It's not based on what insurance tells us. It's based on what we decide for our people, in a holistic way.
Before I ask you, Aero, about your story, I want you to be able to, especially right now, we got people's attention, just let them know how they can get a hold of you, your website, email, and find out more information about this as they're listening to this, because this is pretty intense, and you have a service that our people can really use.
We're on Instagram, Thundermaker Wellness. We also have a website, thundermakerwellness.com, and we have a nonprofit, thundermakerculturalrecovery.org. So we have multiple ways to get a hold of us. I mean, if you're on Instagram or TikTok, look for Che Jim. He's part of our marketing team. He's really one that's pushing us in the social media world. So it makes us accessible. If you're Native and Che Jim, he's funny, but he's part of a serious movement that's trying to change recovery and trying to change the way Natives heal themselves.
Aero, tell us a little bit about you. I know the Funmaker family is a really big family in Ho-Chunk, so it'd be interesting to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so I've been working in this field for the past 18 years myself. I started out in Tucson, Arizona, working at a few residential treatment facilities over there. And fortunately, we were able to utilize some ceremony. We got to sweat once a week. I actually started as a cultural consultant for the tribal members that were in the recovery center there in Tucson. And most of my family's been working in this field for years since I was young. My father, Jim Funmaker, has been working with different tribes in the state of Arizona. And I have an uncle, John Funmaker. He lives in Los Angeles. He's been doing a lot of work with the prison systems over there, and also behavioral and mental health things of that nature in California. So it's kind of like a family business. And honestly, that's what Hunter and I are really trying to promote here. Is we want to create a family environment, a family community, a circle, a old style village, if you will, where everybody's equally participating and, contributing. And, it's not just one person leading this charge. It's a multitude of brothers and sisters and aunties and uncles and sons and daughters. And we're all equally contributing to creating this change that's necessary for our people. The powers that be dictate what is culturally relevant, and what's shocking is that that should be our narrative. We should be the ones in control. We should be the ones expressing what is culturally relevant. Because we live this life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We don't just practice our culture and traditions and ceremonies on the weekends. We do this on a daily basis. And so that's definitely been a driving force behind what Thundermaker Wellness is, and as well as Thundermaker Cultural Recovery. Like Hunter said, we started out with a nonprofit. We wanted to be able to provide cultural services for our people where many programs are lacking. And, that's kind of my thought process through these years is, we recognize and see that there's an issue, and rather than participating in that problem, we want to participate in providing a solution. My brother Hunter always talks about we need to provide a solution as big as the problem. And we feel like that's definitely what we're doing here, and it's not just Hunter and I, it's a community-based movement is what we're organizing here. We need to be represented on all levels, all fields. We don't really see ourselves as a treatment center, more of like an educational institute, and recovery is just one part of that.
Hey, Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire, Our People, Our Recovery. We are here with Hunter Thundercloud and Aero Funmaker. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to get in the brass tacks of what this really is all about. Hey, we'll be right back.
Nation. We are Elusive Nation. We are Elusive Nation.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire, Our People, Our Recovery. Hey, and I'm here with Hunter Thundercloud and Aero Funmaker, Ho-Chunk people, and I always like to bring that up. Hey, we want to talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts, Hunter, of Thundermaker Wellness Center, and I want to get the word out there how exciting and how right on this whole process is of recovery through you guys and with you guys, and just take over and let our people know the beginning and the ends of it.
Okay. And, ours is a newer model. It's definitely, I think, I want to say it's revolutionary. I want to say it's going to help change in a real way. We know that success rates in other rehabs are below 10% of having sobriety in 1 year. I mean, our goal is to have a 90% after 5 years of living our program, and we're basing this off other programs that already have the success rate. And the standard treatment model doesn't allow it. I mean, insurance companies dictate how we heal ourselves. Tribal communities also do the same. We've been tricked into thinking there's one way. There's a 30-day program, 60-day, maybe 90. And the reality is, we know if you're going to be sober, it takes time. You can't be sober faster. And the longer you're sober, the more likely you'll stay sober. So we've designed a 2-year program. The first 6 months is a stabilization period. We're going to be doing cultural things every day. We'll be sweating. We'll be teaching drum classes. We'll be working on food sovereignty, teaching people how to garden. We're going to be harvesting, buffalo at some point, working with the Navajo Nation to get sheep. We want to change our diets. Our stabilization period isn't just for us to stop drinking. It's for us to stabilize our mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual assaults. We're trying to create people that have the ability to re-enter the world. And right now, the system is failing everyone that goes into treatment. The reality is the success rate is so low, insurance companies want to stop paying for it.
Aero, I want to just ask you real quick. I feel like a lot of our issues is what Hunter's talking about, and that's we don't really know who we are.
Yeah, that's kind of something that we've realized through the few years that we've been providing cultural services. A lot of our men have never had a coming of age ceremony, and I think that's been detrimental to who we are as men. Hunter says this, it's about creating leaders and sending them back to their community, and I think what we're able to do as Thundermaker Wellness Center is provide, physical and metaphorical coming of age ceremony for our men. We want to create that change within them, and one of the reasons that we're so passionate about this is we're relighting a fire that might have been, a little put out as youth. And, we see that we see our men, as soon as they start, rekindling that flame within themselves, that big change happens, and their eyes are clearer, they're breathing better, they're walking better, they're interacting and having better conversations with one another. That real love and compassion, that self-patience really starts kind of oozing out of them as human beings. And I think that's one of the keys.
When I first sobered up, and I was young, I was 23, I really bought into the Alatot first step. And I know this is different than AA, but the first step in Alatot is something's wrong. And I felt that forever until I sobered up and found out who I was.
For sure. I mean, when we're when we're drinking, sometimes we don't know if we have a mental illness or if it's just the addiction, and until we have a stabilization period, we can't identify those things. And we have all these traumas. I mean, it's generational traumas, but they're things that can be fixed and helped, maybe not cured, but there are ways to learn how to cope with these things. And ceremony is a huge one. Exercising, cooking, learning how to communicate with our families again, being a good father. I mean, the more we get involved and connected with our community, the more likely we'll be happy,
Aero, I just feel like being an urban Indian, taking my shoes off and feeling the grass is something.
Most definitely. That's, reconnecting with Mother Earth is super important, especially as not just as indigenous people, but human beings, like relearning to have that respect for the place that we live, where we walk. And, that's one of the things we're really excited about our food sovereignty program. We want to grow our own foods. We want to create our own farmers markets. We've been fortunate enough to have a lot of other people and other tribes and other communities donate, heirloom seeds to our program, to where our relatives who are under our care are able to, plant that into the earth and grow that and, have that pride that, like, I created this cucumber, I helped create this stalk of corn that's going to feed my people, going to feed my family, going to feed my community. And, getting your hands back into the earth, it awakens something inside of us, as people. And that's what we want to do. Everything that we're doing here isn't something new to us. This is all generational knowledge and wealth passed down generation to generation. We're just doing our part to be caretakers with that education and knowledge and pass it on to our men, to our youth, and learn what it is to be a man within a community, learn what it is to be a father and a son. And like Hunter was talking about community, like even us, we're in this learning process ourselves. Every day we wake up and we focus on, this is a new day, this is a new opportunity and chance to learn something new. Every time we enter into sweat or ceremony, we always tell each other, let's crawl into this lodge like it's our first lodge. Let's do what we can for ourselves as individuals in this community to heal. And we're not perfect. We're still working on ourselves, but it's not just the relatives that come in. It's the community that heals together.
Hunter, we've been talking a lot about men in recovery. Is there options for our women too in Thundermaker Wellness Center?
Not yet. I mean, we plan to have it, but we believe right now that everyone we've really started with this are men, and right now, until we have the ability to have a full staff of women, and I don't believe in co-ed.
Right.
I think it creates too much too much attention that we don't need. I mean, when we're going to these places, when we're coming to Thundermaker, we're supposed to be focusing on ourselves and focusing on how to be a man around other men to teach us. We need to be teachable, and we can't be peacocking. We have to be there. We have to be learn to have an ego that's right sized. And, and we do that by learning how to work together. It becomes a team effort. That's why peer-to-peer therapy works, things like that. I mean, that's why we learn to drum together. We learn to sing together, to be in sync. I mean, all these cultural things we're learning. It's learning how to be a man within our community around other men to become protectors for our women and children. So the goal is to have a women's program, but this is where we're starting, and we need to have a program that is strong and effective. It can't be watered down to try to appease everyone. The goal is to have people leave and be able to have an option to live their life the way they want. And we're starting out with a population we can work with.
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear with that, because I know we're talking about men, and I just wanted our listeners to know that, someday down the road, Thundermaker Wellness Center will be open up to women too. But right now, how important it is for our warriors to get, because we protect our women, and we're protectors of this, so it's huge.
Well, we're supposed to be. I don't know if we are right now. I mean, it feels like lots of men aren't holding up. They're not taking on that responsibility of being the real protectors and breadwinners. I mean, I think we've lost some of that stuff, and that's what we have to relearn. And there's nothing wrong with knowing that we've lost parts of those things.
Absolutely. Hey, we want to take a quick break here. This is Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire, Our People, Our Recovery, and I'm here with Hunter Thundercloud and Aero Funmaker, Thundermaker Wellness Center. We'll be right back after this short break.
Hallucination. We are hallucination.
Hey, welcome back. This is Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire, Our People, Our Recovery. We are talking about some really groundbreaking things here on this first show of Controlled Fire, and we are here with Aero Funmaker and also Hunter Thundercloud, and we're having a great discussion on wellness and what we can do for our people, and specifically our men, and recovery, and help them recover. A lot to talk about here, Hunter. Let's get into some more nuts and bolts. I believe, and I just want to say this as someone in recovery, how important it is to get somebody out of what's going on, where they're using, get them out of where they're living, and how important it is not just to spin dry them, but to do what you're talking about, is to have these clients, and I don't even want to call them clients. We can call our relatives.
We call them relatives.
Yeah.
I mean, at our center, that's exactly what we call them. We call them our relatives. We call it, they're our brothers, nephews, uncles, maybe, grandfathers, probably not grandfathers as much, but, a lot of brothers right now. And it's important. I mean, when you first get sober or clean and sober, your head is pretty foggy for a while. I mean, they say when you're using hard drugs, it really takes about a year to have it clear. I mean, and the way we spin dry them right now, we put them into a recovery center and we say, let's teach you about your addiction. Let's teach you about all the things it's going to kill you. These are the effects mentally it has. And, when you're coming out of that state, you really already know these things. And I don't know if you care. I mean, the negative effects. At the end of our addiction, we're not partying. We're it's medicine. We're just trying to get well. And so to be in a program that has 2 years, it allows you to have the ability to get rid of the fog, and then in another period to learn how to regrow when that fog has dissipated, and because we have 2 years, right? You don't have to figure out your basic necessities. Housing and food are included. We have a wraparound service. So you'll have clinical, you'll have medical, you'll have access to therapy, you'll have access to culture. You're not going to have to look for a sweat lodge. We'll have multiple sweats a week. I mean, it's important to have stability and access to all the modalities of healing. You need to have access, and it needs to be readily available.
Let our listening audience know too, and we have to bring this up every once in a while, of where you're located, and because again, I think it's a great thing to go and get a statectomy and go somewhere else to get some recovery and some time behind you.
So we're actually located in Prescott, Arizona. That's kind of where Hunter and I met each other, and we're in a perfect position. We have the best of all 4 seasons there. We're just north of Phoenix, just south of Flagstaff. There's really no reason why we started in Prescott, Arizona, other than that's where Hunter and I met in 2018, 2019. I mean, even that, it's an answered prayer, and, that's just kind of where we're starting. And, our dream and goal is to create this program where we're currently at now, and then be able to take that, to other places, other reservations, other communities, and be able to provide those services for our people. Prescott just happens to be the one spot that we've all collectively gathered.
So where can I fly into?
Phoenix.
I
mean, if you have enough money, Prescott. We have an airport. But if you're coming from they have direct flights from Denver and LA. I mean, it's a small town, but it's not. It's 140,000 between the Tri-City area, so there's enough work. I mean, there's a couple of universities, there's tech schools. We have the mountains. In the winter, we can go down to Phoenix and go camping, and then same weekend we can go skiing up in Flagstaff. I mean,
Well, let's talk through this. I have a son that needs help. I contact you. Let's talk through the process right now.
Well, right now we're contracting with tribes,
Mm-hmm.
and we need tribes to connect with us,
Mm-hmm.
so we can be a resource, so that, if they have someone, we can get them out there.
Mm-hmm.
We're willing to put someone on a plane and bring them there.
Mm-hmm.
But the tribe has to be the ones that use us. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
unless you're a private payer. I mean, we're not doing insurance, and we believe it's important not to use the same standard that everyone else is using that's failing.
For 3 months.
Right, the 28-day miracle, because that's the insurance length. So people that are listening, the call to action is to talk to your native governmental people to contact you.
For sure.
Yeah, talk to your representatives. Go talk to your behavioral health department. Like, go all the way up to the council members. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we need to contribute to this change. The insurance model allows 30 to 60 days, and if I've been using or drinking for 5+ years, 30 days is nothing. That's a detox period.
I know for me, I don't know if it was the last thing that I used was marijuana, and literally it was 2 years, and all of a sudden I went, wow, I can think.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, it was just weird that I could think for a little longer than 30 seconds or 15 seconds.
And if you look at some of these, more well-known, a little more upper class recovery centers, they provide the best services because they can afford to, because a lot of it is cash pay. And why are we not able to allow ourselves to have something like that? Why are we still picking at the bottom of the barrel for any kind of services? We're still reliant on federal funds and Indian Health Service funds, and unfortunately sometimes that's where we're lacking. And we need to take ownership of things, as Native people, and we can, and we're more than capable of doing that.
And tribes have money.
Yeah.
I mean, the money exists. I mean, when we talk about them, we invest in universities. Lots of people are willing to invest into their kids going to school, but are we investing into the people that are ill right now, that are sick? I mean, if we don't invest in our relatives that have addiction, I mean, they won't be a part of our communities. And so what's the point of even having tribal communities if we can't help the neediest? I mean, and that's the way it's always been. We're supposed to be there to help each other. And the way, blood quantum systems have been designed, it's separated all of us. I mean, there's a time where it didn't matter if you were half and half, you're still native.
Right.
And now it's like we have to pick between tribes, and then we have to see who's going to help fund us. I mean, right now we have enough money. This is probably the wealthiest time economically we've ever been as tribal people. I mean, it's the poorest time I think we've been culturally, and we have the ability to change it. We just have to have, tribal leaders decide that they're going to really invest in the people that they need to. Because the thing is, if we can heal someone and they can go back home and become providers again and not takers, because they're going in and out of prison or in and out of jail or destroying things at home, not paying child support. I mean, they're not helping their community at this point. We need to reinvest so they can come back and be men and take care of their families.
Well, also too, Aero, I think the old pay me now or pay me later really comes in too with these tribes that are not really in line of this thinking, because it's going to go through a lot. You had to do a certain thing. You had to do a certain thing in order to stop the addiction and stop the insanity. And if pay me now or pay me later.
Yeah, and with addiction, it's like there's a small window of opportunity to get our relatives in, when they're ready, when they feel they're ready. Let's 48 hours. Unfortunately, I'd say 48 hours. Anything past that, they're like, I'll just keep using. And Thundermaker, I mean, we're not the only program that exists out there doing what we're doing here. Like I said before, we're participating in a solution. But if you take a tribal member and he or she goes to treatment 5 to 6 times, in state or out of state, like what is that costing? But if you send them to a program that is created and built around our people, our recovery, why not invest in that? We like to think it's a one-time thing.
Hey, this is Native Roots presents Controlled Fire, Our People, Our Recovery. And we're going to take a quick break here. We'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us.
We are Elusive Nation.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire, Our People, Our Recovery. And I'm here with Hunter Thundercloud and Aero Funmaker, some Ho-Chunk brothers. And I really believe, Hunter, that we should really talk about a call to action in this last segment here. And I know we just talked a little bit about how important it is for people listening to this to talk to their tribal leaders about reaching out to you.
I mean, yeah, that is a call to action. I mean, we need the support from tribes. I mean, and tribes need to know we exist. I mean, how can we help if no one knows we exist? So what you could do is go to your behavioral health centers and ask to contact us. Your tribal leaders ask to and then you as an individual contact us. Maybe we can help you with those things. I mean, go to our website, Thundermakerwellness.com. I mean, you'll be able to Google us. You'll be able to find us. We are accessible, and we pick up the phone. We answer emails. We want to help as many people as possible. And, the only way we can do that is if your tribal leaders are willing to be involved, and the thing is that we're willing to make things work with tribes, because we believe in everything we're doing. The point of what we're doing is to help heal our people. That's the only reason we're doing this.
Yeah, regardless of whether or not tribes decide to use us or not, we've had multiple tribal members reach out to us in the past, year, and no matter what, we've put them in different places. We have partnerships with a lot of programs, and whether or not a tribal member calls, like we're gonna go above and beyond to provide that service for them, whether it's with us or not. Thundermaker Cultural Recovery, Thundermaker Wellness Center has placed a lot of tribal members into some really good programs, and we're still in contact with those tribal members, and they come out to sweat, they come out for ceremony, and we check up on them, and no matter what, it's about providing the best service for our people, and getting them where they need to go.
Yeah, that's a really good call to action too, because a lot of times people feel hopeless, and family members and things like that, what they can do for their husband, brother, son.
Well, you put them in contact with us, and even social media. I mean, if you look for us on, Thundermaker Wellness on Instagram, like I said before, Che Jim. If you look for him on TikTok, Instagram, maybe Facebook if you're a grandma. But
Hey, now.
but that's it. We're the only Thundermaker Wellness out there, so we should be easy to find. And it's that's, in my opinion, if that's all you have to do is figure out how to call us and we can help you, that's not that much, I mean.
Yeah, and that's one of the things is we're willing to help. Like we're not trying to be the best at anything. We're just trying to help provide to this foundation of change that's taking place. And we want to, if we need to help tribes write grants, we're more than willing to do that. One of the things that we want to do is we want to be with our relatives from beginning stage to when they're graduating and walking out. If we have to travel, all the way to Montana or wherever, we're more than willing to make that trip. We're looking at this thing as helping our relatives. A long time ago, for me as a young man, my father would only take me so far, and then it was my uncle's turn to help guide me, and then it was another uncle and another uncle and an auntie and a grandma and a grandpa. The whole village raised each child, whether they were blood related or not, and that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to provide this space for good uncles, good brothers, good relatives to help, refeed ourselves this positivity, this health, this well-being, this fire within. We want to contribute to reigniting these healthy lifestyles for our people, and step into those roles as uncles. You know what I mean? For myself, that was kind of a scary realization for me. I was still calling these youngsters, my nephews, "Hey, what's up, brother?" And they're looking at me like, "Yeah, we're not bros. Like, you're my uncle." So,
Yeah.
So we're trying to, realize, we are those Degas, we are those uncles now, and we need to be ready to step into those roles, and that's what we're doing with Thundermaker.
I like this name of the show, Controlled Fire. It's not just a podcast. And I like what you spoke to me about. It's not just a podcast.
No, it's not. It's a movement.
Mm-hmm.
We're creating this new movement. And I think that's what we're known for as indigenous people. Is we've contributed to some big changes within not just Indian country, but the world in general. If you look back at history, you can see what indigenous people have contributed to overall society today, whether people want to admit it or not. And for Hunter and myself and our team at Thundermaker, and as well as all the educators and, people that have gotten us to where we're at today. Like, we're contributing to this movement of empowerment and reawakening for our people, and like Hunter said, we're starting with our men, and in the future we can move that on to our sisters and our moms.
Well, again, I love the name, and it has some meaning to it. What you were saying too earlier.
I mean, and this is what we're saying. This is the beginning of a movement,
Mm-hmm.
a circle, a fire. It's the start of something that we need to rekindle. I mean, when we talked about this, it's men need to learn how to control this fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can burn everything down, or we can become fire keepers intended. I mean, the fire, it warms us, it feeds us, it's where we put our altars in front of. We take fires from other
Yeah.
teachings. I mean, lots of people, we believe in legacy. When we go into ceremony or sweat, I mean, people will tell us where their fire came from.
Yeah.
Their fire is something that was handed down.
Mm-hmm.
And we value that. I mean, where did your fire come from? Who are you? And it's like, those things are important. Everyone talks about these 7 generations before us and
Mm-hmm.
7 generations after us. Are we living up to the suffering and sacrifice from the 7 generations behind us? And are we tending our fire to be the caregivers for the generations after us, or before us, or after us?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, none of this is ours. We're caretakers. We
Right.
need to remember that. And that's what we're protecting.
Right.
Yeah, the fires, that's true generational wealth for us as indigenous people,
Mm.
where it comes from, what it's done for our people. Like, everything begins with that fireplace.
Mm.
And that's, one of the cornerstones, the center of what Thundermaker is acknowledging what that fire represents and how it feeds our people, and we're fire keepers, we're tending to this fire and trying to pass this, teaching, knowledge, and education on to our young ones, to our youth, and recovery is just one part of what we're trying to provide for our people.
Yeah, and that's key. Hey, we only got a couple minutes left, and I don't know if you guys caught that when you were talking. I was doing the old elder thing, kind of going, I didn't mean to do that. Maybe I cut the microphone when I do that, but no, this has been very interesting, and I really, like, I love what you said. This is the beginning of a movement, a circle of fire, and that's why it's a great name, Controlled Fire, here, presented by Native Roots Radio. Our people, our recovery, and maybe in the last minute here, we can just tell everyone how to get a hold of you again that are listening to this on the radio or another podcast format that they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, we have a web page. You can go to Thundermaker Wellness.com, or like Hunter was saying, we have a TikTok page, we have a Instagram, Facebook, or you can look us up. Our email is hunter@thundermakerwellness.com, aero@thundermakerwellness.com. Just reach out to us. We're more than willing. We just want to have conversations with our people. This old way of thinking, anytime anybody comes into our home, there's always going to be a bowl, a plate, a spoon, and a cup for you, and that's kind of what we're trying to do at Thundermaker. There's always going to be opportunity.
That's awesome. Hey, we're going to have more shows, and you have more ideas, and this was a great beginning. I want to just say a big pinigigi to both you two for what you're doing for the community and for all of Turtle Island.
Oh.
I have a pinigigi.